Welcome to Hatfield's 2014 Candidates Forum. I'm Joe LaValle, your town moderator. This forum is set up to give each candidate a chance to inform town citizens of their platform, position, and intention if they are re-elected or elected to town offices. A few statistics on our town. Hatfield's population is approximately 3,200 residents. We occupy almost 16 square miles of land. We have one of the smallest and best school systems in the state. Hatfield was settled in 1661 and follows what is called open town meeting as our form of governance. Using town rules since 1670, when our first town meeting was held 344 years ago. To learn more about Hatfield and our long, rich history, please go to our town website where it's well documented. Each candidate will have up to 10 minutes to make a statement. The contested positions up for election are for the assessors, the Board of Health, and Select Board. There are some uncontested positions up for re-election, and I'll list them here. The elector under the Oliver Smith Trust, moderator, library trustee, planning board, school committee, town clerk, town treasurer, and town collector. Write-ins are welcome, allowed, and accepted. Now here are the candidates for the Board of Assessors.
Hi, I'm Ron Punska. I'm running for assessor. For those of you who aren't familiar with my background, I grew up in Hatfield with my family living on Dwight Street. I graduated from Smith Academy and then graduated from American International College. I worked in the financial field for 35 years, mostly in banking. I've always been active in the community. While living in East Hampton, I was involved with youth athletics. While living in Washington, New Jersey, I was also involved in youth athletics. I was on the local Little League Board of Directors. I was on the Recreation Commission, and I was on the school committee for several years. When I moved back to Hatfield in 1992, I was again active in Bay State soccer and helped form the Duso Trucking soccer team. I helped run the pitch at the American Legion for 14 years. I've served on the Assessors Board for many years. While serving on the board, I've always communicated well with the property owners, with other boards, and with the Department of Revenue. I feel that I've dealt fairly and honestly with the property owners. I've helped maintain the integrity of the Board of Assessors. A final thought. Many of you think that the Board of Assessors determines the tax rate. That is incorrect. The tax rate is predicated on what you spend at the town meeting. Therefore, I would hope that you would attend the town meeting on May 13th. And lastly, I would appreciate your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christopher Smith and I'm running for the Board of Assessors against incumbent Ronald Punska. I am running for assessor to represent all taxpayers, not just the wealthy and well-connected, which is why I need your vote to bring back honesty and transparency to the Assessors Department. To begin, I want to make it clear that I invited Mr. Punska to debate with me all the issues that I will present to you, and he refused my challenge. So let's start with why the tax rate jumped from $10.47 in 2012, the last year I served as one of your assessors, to the current rate of $12.67 per thousand of property value in December 2013. Normally, such a dramatic tax rate increase would be the result of spending at town meeting. But in the case of Hatfield, the assessors have changed numerous property valuations, many of which were large commercial properties, in a series of secret meetings beginning in June 12th, just 1 month after Larry Williams became an assessor and joined his wife, the assistant assessor, in the assessing department. I was not the first to notice the loss of 50% of our personal property valuations and another 30% drop in commercial values. In addition, numerous residential properties saw large value decreases, even when there were base increases in the same building style rates. A neighbor and close friend of Assessor Williams has made several renovations to his property, even adding a new deck, and yet strangely their property value decreases within each inspection. When a concerned citizen asked assessors to explain publicly why the commercial and personal property had declined so much, the assessors refused to answer. In January 2012, assessors instructed their online vendor to create watered-down versions of the Patriot property record cards so taxpayers couldn't see when valuations had changed or by whom, and most important, the actual breakdowns and conditions applied to those changes. One of these changes was to apply a penalty fee to certain properties with frontage over 200 feet. While Mr. Punska told me that he had applied the same penalty fee to all such properties, my research has shown that the assessors actually applied it to only select properties. And you won't see that on your property record card because that feature has been removed. So when, in fact, the assessors, Ron Punska, Larry Williams, and Stan Pitchko voted to spend $4,000 of your taxpayer dollars on attorney's fees to block me from access to minutes of the assessor's illegal secret meetings and an explanation in court as to why they do not assess property on market value in accordance with state law. If I am elected to the Board of Assessors, I will return the board to full and open transparency with equal and fair market valuation for all properties, regardless of who owns them. And if you are tired of paying extra taxes because somebody else is getting a tax break, then I ask for your vote. Help me bring professionalism back to the assessor's office. I am the only candidate who is fully trained by the Mass Assessors Association, and I am also trained to use 2 computer assessing software systems used in our state. With your vote, I can assure you the assessor's office will adhere to state law and DOR approval of all property valuations, while at the same time maintaining operational efficiency and keeping the assessor's office budget costs as low as possible. Thank you, and remember to vote on May 20th between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Thank you.
And now we will hear from the candidates for the Board of Health.
Hello, Hatfield voters. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ellen Bokina, and I'm running for re-election to the Board of Health. I've been a member of the Hatfield Board of Health for 15 years and would like to continue serving with your help. I'm asking for your vote on May 20th. I would like to direct you to the Board of Health report in this year's annual report that will be available at the Town Hall and on the website by early May. We have made an effort to make you aware of our activities and responsibilities mandated through state and public health regulations, including Title V and the State Sanitary Code. As a board, we take the financial burden to the town seriously and endeavor to act in a fiscally conservative manner. Not only do we vote on matters of policy pertaining to Hatfield, but we are an actively working board, and by that I mean we are able to do all the required Board of Health work without, and I stress that point, without having to hire outside help or employ consultants. Of the 351 towns in the state, we are a unique board with individual qualifications. Typically, towns and cities require a registered sanitarian to execute and oversee health rules and regulations. The cost to employ a sanitarian on average is $35 per hour, with overtime often needed. for complicated cases such as legal and court proceedings or emergencies that typically occur during the evening hours or on weekends. I would like to tell you a bit about my qualifications. I've been a lifelong resident of Hatfield, which began growing up and working on my parents' farm. My love for public health began in college. I graduated from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst with a Bachelor in Public Health degree in Community Health, and later earned a Master in Public Health degree in Healthcare Policy and Administration. As a part of Hatfield and my desire to give back to the community, I decided my expertise could best be utilized by serving the Board of Health. After being first elected in 1999, I was able to qualify through both my educational background and public health experience for the National Registered Sanitarian Examination. And thus, in 2003, I became licensed as a registered sanitarian. Extensive qualifications were necessary to sit for the sanitarian examination that required 1,000 hours of documented public health work and specific courses in science and math, environmental, and public health. This designation allows the Hatfield Board of Health to carry out all duties related to boards of health. I am happy to be able to offer my knowledge and experience in this regard, and proud of the work our board has accomplished. It is important that by being a working board, we have saved taxpayer dollars. To coincide with being a registered sanitarian, I have earned further qualifications that allow me to better serve the Board of Health. I am a certified food manager, which allows me to enforce the Federal Food Code. This includes inspections and written reports of all food facilities. That would include restaurants, fast food businesses, food or meat markets, churches, schools, bars that serve food, catering businesses, one-day function events, and the like. In other words, any facility that serves food to the public. I've completed trainings for housing inspections that pertain to rental properties and tenants, the presence of lead concerns, matters of hoarding, and unclean or unhealthy living conditions. As a last resort, the board has the authority to condemn property through housing court. I've always believed that our job is that of facilitating compliance. Translated, what I mean is, we make every effort, staying in accordance with regulations, to avoid costly legal proceedings. As a member of the Board of Health, it has always been unanimous among us to work with, not against, any member of the community in an effort to solve whatever problem is before us. And clearly, sometimes that is not an easy task. Title V is a large aspect of the board's duties, overseeing perk tests, conducting oversight in septic system inspection, reviewing septic system design plans, and working with septic engineers and installers to ensure the work is accurate. We review septic pumping reports and flag any system where there are possible problems. As you probably know, the majority of homeowners have septic systems as opposed to being on town sewer. Other areas of work include, but are not limited to, communicable disease and other infectious disease monitoring and follow-up, smoking violations, medical marijuana regulations, flu clinics, beaver control, and water quality control, outdoor wood burner issues, and nuisance complaints, including trash and debris. Many of these concerns require hearings as well as significant follow-up and collaboration with state and government officials. There are numerous training conferences available to the Board of Health members. With ongoing regulatory changes, it is important for members to attend as many budget monies will allow. I had an opportunity this past fall to attend conferences during a 3-day training in the eastern part of the state that covered many aspects of emergency preparedness, including food and water safety, sheltering, pet and animal consideration, special population assistance such as the elderly and handicapped or hearing and vision impaired, water and food provision, and overall health, safety, and environmental aspects pertaining to the many different types of emergency situations that could take place in our area. I have attended these 3-day conferences for the past 10 years. In 2010, I had an opportunity to also attend a 3-day federal emergency preparedness training by FEMA in Anniston, Alabama. I was selected as part of the Western Mass contingency made available through a grant. The training enabled trainees from all over the country to participate in guided learning sessions with group interactions. The Board of Health organized and ran the H1N1 flu vaccine clinics in the schools for the students and residents at a time when H1N1 was a pressing public health issue. Nurses in the community volunteered their services to the Board of Health. Special thanks to past and present nurses Cindy Sadowski, Sue Gaughan, and Carol Keller. These clinics were conducted with the Emergency Management Group of both Hatfield and the Western Mass Emergency Management Coalition. The Hatfield Board of Health was commended by the state in clinic excellence. Regular yearly flu clinics are well organized by Jane Betzel, Director, Council of Aging. The board extends authority to Jane for this purpose. Many thanks go out to those individuals and groups in making this public health effort an ongoing success. In times past, I have assisted in the preparation of the initial emergency plans for the town in collaboration with the emergency manager, Fire Chief Belden, and the Emergency Coalition with ongoing annual updates as part of this large task. My vision for the future of public health in Hatfield is to see Hatfield utilize the expertise of individuals who reside and have a vested interest in our town, maintaining the health and safety of the community and residents. I want to thank all Hatfield townspeople who have voted for me in the past. In closing, I hope to count on your vote and look forward to new votes come May 20th. Should you have any questions, please contact me through the town hall. My time is up. I thank you for yours. Be well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carrie Flaherty. Some of you may know me by my maiden name, Carrie Gaughan. I have lived in Hatfield for 32 years, and I'm running for Board of Health. Since high school, I've been involved with emergency services in the town of Hatfield. I've been a firefighter for 16 years, an EMT for 15 years, and I've worked for the Massachusetts State Police as a 911 emergency dispatcher for the past 5 years. Being involved with emergency services in this town has been one of the most rewarding things in my life. I enjoy helping the people in my community of all ages for whatever the emergency or problem may be. My mother, Susan Gaughan, was also a very involved person for the community. As the town nurse for many years, a member of emergency management, and a full-time nurse for the Cooley Dickinson Hospital. I know that being elected to the Board of Health, that I am following in her footsteps of helping this community as much as she enjoyed helping the community. Another position in town that I hold and have been very involved with over the past 5 years is on the Emergency Management Committee. Here we have set up and organized steps to be taken in the case of a disaster or emergency that may happen in this town. So some of you may ask, you have no experience with the Board of Health, so why should we elect you? Well, I have 16 years of medical background, all of which I use in this town on a daily basis. And with my background, I feel I have a lot to offer in helping keep our community healthy and safe. If you elect me, I promise to learn the best I can all the parts of the Board of Health. I am willing and want to attend as many classes and seminars that will keep me up to date with today's health and safety, and also bylaws and guidelines that the town needs to follow to keep the community running safe and businesses running safe. So I please ask all the residents to come out and vote for me, Carrie Flaherty, for Board of Health on Election Day. Thank you.
And the last contested group you'll hear from is the Board of Selectmen.
Hello, I'm Mike Cahill, candidate for the Board of Selectmen. Before I begin, I'd like to thank HCTV for producing this year's Candidates Forum. It's a real pleasure to be here. My wife Jane and I have lived on North Street for over 40 years. It's where we raised our 2 children, who have since blessed us with 2 wonderful grandchildren. All of us are Smith Academy graduates. My wife and children are Hatfield natives, and they each had the privilege of a superb Hatfield K-12 education. Personally, I went on to earn a bachelor's degree in marketing and then an MBA in finance at the University of Massachusetts Eisenberg School. My working career was spent in marketing, finance, and information systems management. But this election is really not about me. It's about us and our town. It's about whether the average homeowner, taxpayer, or renter will be able to continue to afford the price to live in Hatfield in the foreseeable future. Taxpayers have literally begun to feel our rapidly increasing tax and water and sewer bills. To add to our misery, our tax rate increases have been all over the place lately. Something's clearly not right. Let me share some numbers with you quickly. Hatfield's current tax rate is about $13 a thousand. Hadley, our old nemesis, but a good comparison nevertheless, is over $2 per thousand less. In other words, Hatfield's average homeowner pays $800 more in taxes than if his house was in Hadley, not including rising water and sewer fees, which I'd like to reserve discussion of for another time. Just 2 years ago, Hatfield's tax rate was about the same as Hadley's. And since then, Hatfield's tax rate has increased an average of 9% per year, and was up 15% alone in 1 year when some actual tax bills increased over 25%. Over the same time period, Hadley's tax rate averaged 2%. The price to live in Hatfield clearly is higher than the price to live in Hadley. I'm not saying that Hatfield should have a Route 9, but clearly you and I are shouldering a huge load. We could use more business, as long as we protect our small town character and we have better fiscal management. Of late, Hatfield's tax rate has been rising faster and vacillating unpredictably. There seems to be no consideration of what residents can afford, especially the 600-plus residents that are over 65, and the 20% of our residents that are living below the poverty level. The one question I keep hearing at recent budget discussion meetings that I've attended is, how do we stand against the levy limit? Translation, how close can we get to the amount of money we can legally take from the taxpayers this year? I've never heard once, how much of an increase do you think people can afford? There seems to be a lack of consideration for residents, and there's no looking ahead, so we know what's coming. Lastly, the town takes in and spends $11 million a year, a heck of a lot of money. Yet unfortunately, according to a recent Gazette front page article, our auditors have written that we are not recording and reporting some of this $11 million properly or in a timely fashion. But it's not just about how much we are being asked to give. It's also about where our hard-earned money is being spent. For example, we've committed to spend $1.25 million renovating our town hall. It houses a handful of employees, several of whom are part-timers, several of whom are moving out to another newly renovated building, and it's hardly used by residents anymore. All of this when roads are in disrepair, water and sewer lines are failing, maintenance projects are being backburnered, a new primary water main's length has been shortened, the next phase may cost $3 million, and key town positions are not being compensated competitively. Then there's still the center school building issue. And on the near horizon, proponents soon may be asking the town to help foot the cost of a new $7 million library. It just seems to me that our spending priorities need to be revisited. So why would I be the best candidate for selectman this year? Because I can not only offer you town-wide experience, but I can also list some specific accomplishments to show you that I can solve problems. Let's begin with my school experience first. Here are the facts. I'm a multiple-term school committee member and chair. That happened in the late 1970s and the mid-80s. I was a driving force behind getting voters, after multiple votes, to approve building the then new Smith Academy in 1979. I helped initiate and promote special legislation that was required to be passed by the Massachusetts legislature so we could build Smith Academy and have the state pay for 2/3 of it. I was present with Governor Michael Dukakis when he signed the bill in his office in the State House in Boston. In the late 80s and early 90s, I was a founding member of the Smith Academy Athletic Awards Club, better known as SAC. I drafted the first SAC charter. I helped raise tens of thousands of dollars, first in support of SAC's mission, then in support of the school budget in general, because we were in the situation where we were contemplating eliminating music, art, and athletics. We even got John Calipari to come to Hatfield twice to help us out. Music, art, and athletics were not eliminated. I was awarded the Smith Academy Distinguished Alumnus Contributor Award in early 2000, and most recently I approached the school committee with a plan to help determine the underlying demand for preschool education in town. At many annual town meetings, I openly argued successfully in support of more dollars for our school system. We got voter approval for budget increases, and we tapped the town's impenetrable stabilization fund to pay for them. The schools needed more money. The town responded. To this day, I remain and will always be an ardent school supporter. I am also an ardent supporter of the town as a whole. I think that comes from being a former selectman. In that role, you acquire and exercise a much broader outlook. Right now, the shoe is on the other foot. The schools have more money than the town. We have a top-notch school system, and much to our benefit, it's in demand. School choice allows children from other towns to attend school here. And as a result, each year, close to $750,000 in out-of-town student tuition is received by the schools. It bolsters an already very large account balance. This being the case, I would encourage the school department to consider two things. First, to develop and share a school choice-funded education and capital improvement plan geared towards making our schools even more top-notch. And I would back this 1,000%. And second, to enter into discussions with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee regarding the possibility of earmarking a bit more of the unencumbered funds in this account to help the town each year, which ultimately helps the schools. To me, this is a win-win scenario, the way it should be. I also have a track record as a former selectman. I advocated Board of Selectmen transparency. I successfully solicited a $60,000 donation from CNS to fund the town's master plan, and lots of time was spent forming our DPW. We eliminated 2 paid boards, and we consolidated our water, sewer, highway, and transportation operations into one department. Despite what you might think or be hearing, forming the DPW has saved the town $100,000 a year from day one. That's over $1 million since it began. And I still have the budget spreadsheets to prove it. Most town people now know me as the guy who attends lots of meetings and asks lots of questions. And I do. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's just my nature. Sometimes people should understand that my questions or observations aren't meant to be offensive or personal. I know what it's like to be on the receiving side, believe me. I'm just trying to help peel the onion, so to speak. Regardless of what happens on Election Day, you can be sure I will keep asking questions and help keep the community informed so that we all can make intelligent decisions going forward. Speaking of questions, if you have any for me, there's more information on the Hatfield Current and Mike Cahill Facebook pages, or you can call me at 247-5110. In closing, as a new selectman, I pledge to you that I will try to put all of my experience, knowledge, and skills to work with the other two members of the current board to better our town. As a former selectman, I can hit the ground running right now. I guess it's only fitting that I end with a question. One for you. May I please have your vote on Tuesday, May 20th? Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Brian Moriarty and I'm a candidate for the selectman seat being vacated by Jan Adamski, who chose not to run for re-election this year. In case you don't remember, Jan and I were opponents 3 years ago for the same seat, which he won. But today I'm glad to announce that Jan is supporting my candidacy and has granted me permission to make that statement publicly. So, a big thank you to Jan Adamski and all of my supporters for their help thus far with my election bid. And to those of you who have allowed me to place a lawn sign on your property, thank you. I hope that after viewing this candidates forum and understanding my credentials, you, the residents of Hatfield, will also feel like my many supporters do, that I am the best candidate to be your next selectman. I'd like to start with an introduction of who I am. My wife Lynette and I and our family moved to Hatfield in November of 1999 from Holyoke. We had been looking for a larger home and a town with an excellent school system, hence the beginning of our love affair with the town of Hatfield. We never looked back at our decision, and I'm sure like all of you, we just love living here and everything about Hatfield. The people, the farms, the schools, and the list goes on and on. For those of you who don't know me personally, we live in Mrs. Furch's home on 26 Maple Street with the big beautiful azalea in front. And you may recognize me as the man walking the little white dog up and down Maple Street multiple times a day while speaking on the phone and drinking a coffee. Sadly, our family had to say goodbye to Bailey just last week as he passed away. I have been a member of the Hatfield School Committee for 11 years, first being elected in 2000, 6 months after moving to Hatfield. During my tenure, I am proud to tell you that I was involved with the creation of our award-winning Smith Academy Band, establishment of a very successful high school girls soccer program, and most importantly, the continued expansion of educational opportunities for our students, so we may offer top-rate educations with state-of-the-art technology and programs at all grade levels. And I was the chairman of the Hatfield School Committee when we voted to start participating in the School of Choice program, which at the time was a controversial topic in town, but which I knew was the correct decision for our district. Our district, and we as a town, continue to reap the financial benefits of the School of Choice program. For those of you not familiar with School of Choice or its funding, the simple explanation is this. For every non-Hatfield resident who attends our schools, whether at Hatfield Elementary School or Smith Academy, the school department receives $5,000 for each student per year. Conversely, for our students who go to school in another school district, we lose $5,000 per student per year. And if we have a student who attends a charter school, that jumps to $10,000 per year per student that the town of Hatfield loses in school funding. In the first few years of our participation in School of Choice, the net income to our district was around $50,000 to $60,000. The yearly amount has increased dramatically through the years. Since those beginning years of School of Choice and because of an intense marketing campaign, I am proud as a school committee member to stand before you and let you know that our entire school district is now receiving over $500,000 in School of Choice revenue per year. The amount does fluctuate because it's determined on the number of students from out of town who attend Hatfield schools. But currently there are over 100 students attending the Hatfield Public Schools from other school districts. I mentioned the School of Choice funding because it's critical that you, the townspeople, understand how those funds are used by the school committee to help and keep our tax rate low. Some people say that school committee is not allocating funds properly and instead of sitting on a pot of money. This simply is not true. Since day one, the school committee has voted yearly to transfer School of Choice funds to various school capital projects for the expansion of academic programs and to the school operations budget. And so you all know that by state law, School choice funds may only be spent within the school system budget. Being conservative when spending money, whether it's mine or it's yours, I have led the charge within the school committee to spend our school of choice funds wisely and only where we can get the best bang for our dollar. I will do the same as your selectmen. The school committee has contributed $500,000, yes, $500,000 to each of the last 3 school operations budgets, which saves all of us, you and I, as taxpayers, from having to fund those amounts. The operations budget includes things like heat, water, and electricity, as well as other operational costs. And as a matter of fact, for fiscal year 2015, which begins this July, the school committee has voted to once again include $500,000 in the operating budget, and on top of that, contribute an additional $500,000 towards a major roof, window, and door project at Smith Academy. That's over $1 million of school of choice money being spent in fiscal year 2015 alone, versus $1 million you and I having to pay in taxes. The school committee recognizes the importance of using the majority of school funds to help with the finances of our town as a whole, but also to keep a sum of money in reserve to help with unexpected expenses, such as soaring special educational costs or a maintenance issue or a host of other things that might arise in any given school year. In addition to the operations budget, hundreds of thousands of dollars have gone towards capital projects and school improvements the last few years. To name just a few, the new bleachers, floors, science lab improvements and lockers at Smith Academy, and technology upgrades system-wide. Because of our building facilities and our top-notch educators, we attract students from all over Western Massachusetts. And just this past year, Hatfield was named a Level 1 school by the state. That's the highest grade a district can receive. The superintendent, our amazing teachers, the awesome staffs of both schools, and the school committee, all working together, was key in this achievement. A Level 1 rating is not easy to achieve, but Hatfield did it. People have asked me, what is your vision for the town? My answer is simple and always the same. I am fiscally conservative, which means I will not vote to spend your money on frivolous or extravagant projects, but I am a realist and recognize that we must spend funds in order to maintain our town's basic services. I believe strongly that as a town, we need to maintain our rural character and rich history of agriculture that Hatfield is known for. I support the moderate growth of business so that we can add to our tax rolls and continue to keep Hatfield as one of the lowest tax rates in Hampshire County, while recognizing that Hatfield is an agricultural community first, and our farmers and our farms need to be protected. And finally, to work with all committees and boards within the town, whether elected or volunteers, to find solutions for keeping Hatfield a vibrant community. I am a retired 28-year employee of Verizon Communications. Most of that time was spent in management positions, where in order to meet customer service requests, I had to work with and/or manage multiple Verizon work groups in order to successfully satisfy the customer's needs. That meant I was involved with contract negotiations, project management, promoting flexibility within other Verizon departments, and ultimately getting all of our work groups on board to meet the customer's expectations. This Verizon background, on top of my school committee experience, will serve me well as your next selectman. Let's be honest. To be a successful selectman, you should have those things I just mentioned: an understanding of contract negotiations, project management skills, and an ability and personality to bring various town departments and volunteers together for a common goal, that being meeting the expectations of you, the townspeople. And with all this experience, I can hit the ground running as your next selectman. Hatfield has some major infrastructure projects, both underway and on the horizon. Town hall renovations and the water pipe replacement have been ongoing. And some new projects like the Smith Academy roof, window, and door replacement, which I alluded to earlier. All these projects, of course, need clear leadership, a common sense approach, and a person with a demonstrated ability to work with others towards a common objective. Here are a few things I feel separate me from the other candidates. I have the most relevant and recent experience in dealing with contracts, union employees, and making budget decisions. As a current member of the Capital Planning Committee, and in working with all of the heads of the various town departments, I am aware of their current and future capital needs. I have a demonstrated ability to work in a team environment. As an 11-year school committee member, I have a proven record of fiscal responsibility. I have the business background in working with interdepartmentally to achieve a common goal. I have the temperament and personality for contract negotiations. And finally, I promise all of you watching that I will do the homework and research necessary in order to make sound decisions on behalf of the town of Hatfield. In closing, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've had a chance to learn something about me as a candidate. And thank you to John Nowak for taping the Candidates Forum. And finally, I would like to wish all other candidates seeking elected positions the best of luck. Please vote Brian Moriarty Selectman Tuesday, May 20th. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.
Hello, my name is Larry Williams and I'm running for Selectman. I wanted to take a few of these minutes to tell you about what kind of person I am and why I'm running for Selectman. We came to Hatfield several years ago and witnessed 6 lemonade stands run by young folks on the same street with no parents needing to be around, and knew this was the town where we wanted to raise our family and have loved every minute of our home. A town that was still about what was important in life. A town that's more than a bunch of people that are stuck together in the general vicinity, but is more a group of friends that, although don't always see eye to eye, still wants everyone to succeed and prosper, and most will do whatever they can to help their neighbor, committee member, church attendee, or family member with anything they might need. I've spent the last several years observing town functions, town meetings, and committee meetings, and have come to the conclusion that it's time for someone to stand up for the rights of the people of the town, because I believe that some in power may have lost their vision of what their job is in the town and what it takes to make a town successful. That job is to represent the best interests of the townspeople, not special interests, certain people, or even the state or federal government. To make the town run smoothly, stay within its budget, and do everything in their power to retain the trust of the community. I'm passionate about what I do, for that I will not apologize. I'm an honest, hardworking guy that has the backbone to stand up for what's right, and I'm willing to say no to things that are not the best for the community. I also believe officials should be accountable for what happens in the town and make sure that decisions they make are responsible ones for the future of Hatfield. A selectman should always be willing to listen to all sides of a discussion before making a decision, and weighing all the evidence before rendering a decision based on the facts and what is best for the town. Working in the assessor's office has brought us face to face with many citizens of our town that are being crushed by the ever-growing burden of taxes that are being levied every year. It has to be a priority of all officials that spending must be controlled, and they need to remember that every time the gavel drops on an expense, someone is going to have to come up with that extra money, and our taxes will go up. There is no magic wand to make these dollars appear. Maybe some people have forgotten what it's like to have to worry about whether the next mortgage payment, electric bill, or even from where the next meal will be coming. I've witnessed people coming into the assessor's office wondering how they're going to keep up when they're on a fixed income. It's our responsibility to stop this out-of-control spending, rein in the taxes, and provide some relief to the townspeople for one. It's our fault because we have to be strong enough to stand up and say no. This wonderful haven of a town is experiencing issues that no one seems to be held accountable. The solution to our problem is not to throw more money at the problem. It's to find the best way to get the job done, hold people accountable, get the most qualified people within our budget, and make sure that the people that are doing any job are spending the proper amount of time doing it and caring about what they're doing. Passing the buck is not an answer and will never offer us a solution. Having a child that attends Smith Academy makes it a top responsibility to all of us, to the school system, in continuing excellence in education and a quality of life for those students to thrive in their young lives and prepare them for the real world. It's a proud moment to be part of a town that has one of the finest school systems in the state. I love this town, the history, the people, and we need to stay on track to avoid the pitfalls of bigger towns that may have lost their way. A community is about the people in it, not how much stuff we can cram inside our boundaries. Standing at the church dinners, it's wonderful to look out at everyone talking, laughing, discussing, and telling the same old stories that we've all heard a million times, and knowing that there's no place else that we'd rather be, and that we're all part of the community. It takes us all to make it work correctly. My dad always said that if you don't vote, you don't have the right to gripe. And if you vote and don't get what you want, then it's up to you to do something about it. Well, I'm doing something about it. I want to live in a town that we can all continue to be proud of and enjoy. So please get out and vote. If you have any questions, feel free to call me at home. I'm Larry Williams, and I'm running to be your next selectman. Thank you.
And now the candidates for some of the uncontested offices.
Hello, my name is Marcia Humphrey, and I'm running for a 3-year term as trustee for the Hatfield Public Library. I'm currently serving in that position as I filled a vacancy a few years ago. Trustees work with the library director to formulate long-term goals and to guide the library's vision. We want to make sure we are providing the best possible services to the residents of Hatfield. I have been a library patron for most of my 30-plus years here in Hatfield, becoming more actively involved a number of years ago when the plans for renovation were being formulated. I felt very strongly that our library needed additional space and many improvements. And I felt very strongly then, and I feel even more strongly now as a trustee. Some people may not realize how vital and busy our little library is. The library has had an increase in visitors of almost 25% since 2009, and an increase of 40% in participation in library programs. But because of limited space, the shelves are crowded and the collections must be limited. The space for children's programs and story time, which are very popular, as well as the space for other library programs for teens, adults, and children, is woefully inadequate. There's no area dedicated to teens and older children. Right now, the teen section is housed in the office, sharing a very small room with library staff and computer stations. The nonfiction section is down in the basement, which sometimes leaks, and which is accessed down a steep and narrow staircase. The library is not accessible, violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. This renovation plan will preserve the old building as much as possible, really a new version of our current beloved library. The old section will be updated and restored, while an addition on the back of the building will give us much needed space. Folks in Hatfield will have an opportunity to support this renewed and expanded library in the next year or so. The state has already approved Hatfield's application for receiving a grant from the Public Library Construction Program, which is taxpayer funded. That means that our tax dollars have already gone towards this grant program, and it is no small amount. The state will actually pay $3.2 million of our $6.1 million project. If you have questions about library services, about the renovation, please contact the library director, Eliza Langhans, or one of the library trustees, myself, Dodie Gaudette, or Nancy Little. Also, the Friends of the Hatfield Public Library are great supporters of the library, and they are always welcoming new members. You can get information about them on the website or at the library. And please do come visit the library. Volunteer for it, join the Friends, be part of the foundation to look at this renovation and raise money for it. Meet the wonderful staff and check out a book, DVD, magazine, use the computers. It's a very welcoming and vital part of Hatfield. And please remember to come out and vote on May 20th. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the candidates for their participation in this forum. Their commitment to our town is greatly appreciated and welcome. I'd also like to thank John Novak for his efforts in this videotaping of our candidates forum. Remember, town meeting is May 13th, and please vote in town elections on May 20th. Thank you for watching.